Well, friends, hear a digital tale of cryptocurrency, a boat that'll sail. Bitcoin's the leader, proud and unfurled, a decentralized dream in a centralized world. Crypto swing, dance with the blockchain, let freedom ring. No one can but cash.
Okay, well, we'll get going. We'll do a couple things. Not charging for tonight's meetup primarily because I've been in Texas for the last 2.5 months and I don't really have a prepared presentation for you, but we can talk about crypto and we can talk about some of the things that I've been posting up recently using our AI, because we've been involved with AI through the group since before OpenAI was around, since before AI was even a normal everyday topic of conversation, because in the early days we had an AI that was running arbitrage for us between exchanges, and we also had an AI that was doing predictive work on the market, Bitcoin markets and some of the other larger markets when they first came out. We got together with a group of about 20 people and we had this AI running everything for us, and it was doing a fantastic job. And I think, Wayne can tell you some of this stuff too, until it wasn't, because it was the early days of AI. And those of you that were involved with it will understand that unless you're watching some of these things, they can go into kind of like a dream state. And when they go into a dream state, they come up with stuff that they think is really, really smart. Kind of like when you tell someone your dream and you think, fuck, this dream is amazing. And yet they go, that sounds really stupid. And so that's what happened. We made a whole shit ton of money with this AI until it went kind of south on us and had these dreams. And it screwed up in the end. But it was a learning process, and that's all you can do is keep learning, right? And overall, most of us here have been involved. Some of the original group members have been involved with cryptocurrency. Well, myself since 2013, been doing this on a daily basis, and it's been good. I mean, Bitcoin is a really good thing, and being able to have your money outside of government controls and outside of any type of banking establishments and institutions is an amazing thing. Banks don't like crypto, and the main reason they don't like crypto is because they don't have control. They don't have oversight. They can't resend it back. They can't change it. They can't tell you what to do with it. They can't make it worth less or more. This is the thing, like people in general, we'll talk primarily about Bitcoin because we've always primarily talked about Bitcoin. Although many of us are involved in all the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is really the first and foremost Bitcoin that you should be involved in because it's got the largest market value. And that's really where things come in. And by the way, exciting stuff, just hit $1 trillion again.
Oh, did it?
$1 trillion. And it didn't even make the press. Think about that. $1 trillion. Like, oh my God, most of us here are old enough to think of when $1 trillion actually was a lot. Now we've got companies, Microsoft worth what, $3 trillion now? Apple's worth $2. Bitcoin's, Meta's kind of fighting their way at only 1.3 trillion. Oh my God, they got to do some work. Mind-boggling when you start talking about $1 trillion, but Bitcoin hit $1 trillion, so that's pretty amazing. It's a big boat in a big ocean now. It's not like it used to be. When we first got involved in this, and Andre and Yvonne were there, Bitcoin was worth just hundreds of dollars. I mean, oh my God, when I think about that, hundreds of dollars, and $70,115. I'm talking Canadian because I'm a Canadian. $70,115 Bitcoin is right now. When I first got involved with Bitcoin, it was worth about $270, $280 Canadian. And everybody said, man, you're wasting your money putting it into that. Like, you should be investing in US dollars. That's what you should be doing, because US dollars will be worth so much more than Canadian. Well, that never happened. And right now with what's going on in the world, US dollars are becoming worth less. People think that their houses are becoming more and more valuable and their rental properties are becoming more and more valuable. No, hate to tell you, your money's becoming worth less and less and less. And that's why Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, I won't mention other ones because some of them are very, very risky, but Bitcoin, because of its limited supply and because of the fact that it's outside the purview of government and commercial organizations like banks and financial institutions, it's setting its own value by people. People decide what it's worth. Now, it's one of those things where they fight you and then they join you, like with the ETFs and what's happened with ETFs. Kind of amazing. I mean, it really is that, when we first got involved with this, everybody was laughing at it and saying Bitcoin is just, it's not going to be here. Like, you're putting your money into something. I remember, taking like 10 grand and buying 10 grand worth of Bitcoin. It was like, oh my God, what a risk this is. So much, I sure wish I had those Bitcoin now, I'll tell you. Like, oh man. You know, I think they were about 980 bucks a piece when I bought 10 grand. It was the first big investment that the wife and I did when we first got involved with the Bitcoin ATMs. And we had to have 10 grand because we had to have 10 grand on the machines. It wasn't that, you know, we were trying to buy 10 Bitcoin. We weren't. We were spending 10 grand to have product on our machines. And so, but 10 grand in Bitcoin, oh my God, you know. And to see what's happened over such a short length of time, like within 10 years, it's mind-boggling, and it's not going to stop. Those of you that haven't been involved long, it's not going to stop. Bitcoin will be $1 million. It'll be, you know, depending on how young you are, maybe several $1 million of Bitcoin. And the more that you can get your hands on, the more valuable it'll become. Because there's only 21 million that'll ever be made, and that's it. And if every single millionaire in North America decides that they want one, there's not enough. So let that one sink in for a second. If every single millionaire in North America, because I mean, you can have a house and be a millionaire now. Like, it's not like it used to be, you know, when we were kids. Like, now you can have a house and all of a sudden you're a millionaire. Well, okay, if every single millionaire decided they want one Bitcoin, there's not enough. It's mind-boggling. It's actually, it's incredible. And that's why it's going up in value. Not so much, and it'll go down in value. This is the other thing too that a lot of people don't understand, and that we've lived through so many times now that it'll drop up to 80% of its value. So let's say it's worth 10 grand one day. Well, next week it could be worth 2 grand. And people go, oh, that's it, it's over. Every single time. I remember when it went to what, like, it was at 300 bucks and it went to 600 bucks and then went back down to 300 bucks and then everybody just went, oh, it's over. And so how many times? Like 300 times now I think Bitcoin's been dead?
433 times.
There you go.
Pronounced dead.
433 times pronounced dead. So it's not dying.
Well, the biggest one was when it went to 20,000, then it went to 3,000, and nobody was buying.
No.
3,000.
Nope.
Everybody just
buy so much,
stopped.
I had no money.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, in our record, we've been running the CryptoNutz group here for a long time, like actually 8, 9 years now, at least, I think. And when Bitcoin was at 82,000 Canadian, I think it was, or 83,000 Canadian, we had so many people that we had to rent the bottom of the spike across the street because it held 300 people, and we had 175 people.
Buying?
No, coming to the meetup.
Oh, okay.
To the CryptoNutz meetup, because it was worth $80,000. Now, when the price went back down to like, it went down to 16 grand, there was nobody. There was Wayne and me and Andre and Yvonne and, you know, some of the others sitting around, you know, having a wobbly pop or, you know, whatever, and talking about crypto, but really nobody's around. But this is the thing, and as the value keeps going up, and then it's like, oh, aren't you terrified? It's like, not so much. Like, you know, we're still okay. We're okay. Like, you know, but it's like an ongoing thing. It's like every single time, because you're listening to the news, and the news is saying, oh, this stuff, you know, has lost so much money. Everybody's lost their shirt on this. And well, Brock is a good example. Brock bought when it was high, but he started coming to the meetups and he started learning more about cryptocurrency. I mean, he's always got really valuable stuff to say and knows a hell of a lot. And when he first started coming, he didn't know anything, right? But took an interest and said, holy shit, I put money into this, I better learn about it now, right? So learned a lot and hung on, and now he's in profit. So, like, you know, that's not so bad. Like,
Oh no, I was never going to get rid of it.
no, that's the thing. If you look at it that way, and I know it sounds really simple, and I don't want to sound like I'm being an asshole, but the way that we've always looked at it is when it gets at or close to its all-time high, sell some. Take a little profit. You know, get some of your money back. And when it gets close to or around its all-time low, buy some. I know it sounds simple. And those that have followed this simple philosophy have made a shit ton of money. Or if you just buy a little bit here and a little bit there, that's all, most of the time that's all you got to do. This is the thing, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can spend a couple $100 a month. Just buy regularly, all the time. Buy a little bit here, a little bit there. Don't even think about the price. This is the key. You got to look at how many Satoshis you can accumulate. Satoshis are the smallest increment of a Bitcoin. It's what the name of the little yellow truck out there, my wife's truck, is called Satoshi. And that's because it's to remind us that you've got to accumulate Satoshis. 1, 2, 3 at a time. They're not worth much now, but they won't be long. I think well within all of our lifetimes here where a Satoshi could be worth $1 a piece. If that's the case, anybody who bought some along the way and has a little bit here and a little bit there is going to be very, very wealthy. And it may be very unfortunate because it may be the fact that our dollar is not worth much anymore. And the reason that you became wealthy is because you looked at a different way of thinking about money. Because a lot of people are confused what money is. And you know, it's one of the things that we talk about here in the group all the time is what money is. Do you really understand what money is? Like, money's not really based on anything. It's based on a country. And if you believe in the country, then you believe in the money. Oh, you believe in Canada, you believe in the money. You believe in US, you believe in the money, because it's not based on anything other than that. Their gross national product to a certain degree, but they mix those numbers up and they make those numbers up as they go along. So, I mean, how can a country, the most powerful and, you know, arguably the wealthiest country in the world, owe $33 trillion? How does that work? How do they borrow money to send to other people? Like, even in Canada, I don't really understand what we do, because, like, you know, we've got homeless people, we've got people who can't eat, we've got seniors who can't afford health care, and yet they're sending hundreds of millions of dollars away. And I don't care where they're sending it. I don't want to get in kind of political dispute here, but all this money that's getting sent away from a country that borrows the money to send away. Like,
It's called laundering.
yeah, exactly. But that's getting political. I don't want to get political. So, but really, it's like we borrow money to give it away. And the same thing the US does. So if you think about that, if you're borrowing money, it's like if you went to the bank and you said, you know, I owe $33 trillion, but I want to, you know, there's this war that I want to finance, and I want another, I don't know, maybe $250 billion or so.
You know, in the digital space, moving through the net at a lightning pace. Decentralized power, he's setting the pace. In the world of fiat, he's got no trace. Bitcoin on.